Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter, everybody. I just got a happy Easter wish, and it said, Happy Easter. So we're coming to you with a quick what I learned this week. And I would love to record these on Friday, but the Friday was a day of training, and Saturday a day of traveling, not a day of training, and Saturday was a day with family, and Sunday is a day with family. But prior to going Easter egg hunting here in a minute, well, about 30 minutes, I wanted to get this edition of what I learned this weekend, and I thought to myself, maybe I won't live stream it because I'm going to be in a hurry. I'm just going to boom, 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 and then get out. But I thought, what's the harm? Maybe someone will catch this live stream today that's never listened to the show, and then maybe they'll become a listener. And that is why we're live streaming right now. But as all, well, I'll say it all in the actual podcast episode. So anywho, let me get set up here. Share if you feel so compelled to share this. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy a quick 20 minutes between your meals or before or after your Easter egg hunting. I'm going to knock this out. And then we're going to go hunt some eggs. Be sure, if you're watching here on Facebook Live, to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever podcast app you use, so you will get every AMX lunch, every interview, every sort of show I do sent straight to your phone. A little nugget here. These are the best candies ever. I actually did not get these for Easter, but I bought them last week, and they are still the best. They are, I call them pink things. My grandma, when I was a kid, used to get them for me. They're wintergreen lozenges, pink things. So good. So good. I'm going to save it right here for exciting for when I'm done. I can eat it. Otherwise, I'll be chomping it on air. All right. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let's rock and roll. Hello all, and welcome to this week's What I Learned This Week live. And I'm live streaming it on Facebook. Many of the AMXs, many of the What I Learned This Week, I live stream on Facebook. So if you're not already following my Spaniard page, visit facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. Make sure you enable notifications, follow, etc. Every time I go live, boom, you'll get it. And I've got a nice crew developing for the AMX months. Every morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I live stream that day's AM Excellence, and then I upload the segment in the middle that is the actual 8-minute episode right up to my podcast feed. So if you want to join in on some fun, we got a nice community. It's serving as like kind of motivation and accountability because we're all starting to know each other, and we're starting to know the dailies. And the dailies, when they don't show up, we're able to say, hey, where were you? So it's a nice group forming. It's really cool. It's really neat to see relationships developing from just the AMX live streams as well. So we're going to run through the What I Learned This Week document. Now, as always, you know, this episode is coming from the What I Learned This Week document that I have right in my hands. It is an aggregation of the week's most power-packed learning points. So I'm reading every single day. I'm taking copious notes every single day. I'm asking hundreds of questions a week to random people, whether it's Dread, whether it's my guests, whether it's outside sources, having all these experiences. And then I'm bringing them down to, hey, what hit me the hardest? What spoke to my heart? What spoke to my head? What spoke to my soul the most? And those things I'm putting on this PDF. And I'm really excited because if you're listening, so it's Easter Sunday right now. Happy Easter Sunday to everybody. I'm getting this in real quick before I head out to do some Easter egg hunting, just because I was not able to record it sooner and I wanted to get it in before the weekend is over. It's become a cool thing, and I have my first, actually I think my second, but my first real live What I Learned This Week event this Saturday. So Saturday, April 7th at the Barnes & Noble in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where I'll be recording. I don't know what I'm going to learn this week, but whatever I learned this week, I'm going to be talking about it on Saturday, this Saturday, April 7th, 4 p.m. I'm going to go through a What I Learned This Week episode live in person and also live probably on the live stream, facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. We're going to have discussion, conversation about this content, and then we'll talk about podcasting. We'll talk about writing a book. I'll answer any questions you have from the wisdom that I'm learning about, right? That's it. If you want to know about training, if you want to know about what I know about nutrition, entrepreneurship, building a business, this is like real-time stuff for me, so I love talking about it. Dredd will be there. Myself will be there. I know several of the diehards from the AMX live streams are going to be there. If you're within an hour, 2 hours, hop in the car, come, have some fun. I'll be there for as long as you want to be there. This Saturday, Barnes & Noble, April 7th, Altoona, PA, 4 p.m. So we're going to hop into the What I Learned This Week document. If you want to get this emailed to you every week, every Friday, hop over to charliespaniard.com and opt into the email. This is like a tool. This is a learning tool. This is a leadership tool. This is a get after it tool. Look, this is my system for getting after it. This is my system for maintaining the world class mindset that I had, being around world class fighters every single day for like 7 years or whatever. How do I carry that on? I carry it on through books. I carry it on through wisdom. I carry it on through the awesome guests that I have on my show. That's how I'm doing it. So I know that's how you can do it. 100% guaranteed. Opt into this document, use it, follow AMX every day, subscribe on iTunes, make sure you're getting the most out of this show. So let's hop into the first bullet point. So this comes from the book Team Dog by a guy named Mike Ritland. Mike Ritland is a Navy SEAL. He's a canine dog trainer, a working dog trainer, military dogs, police dogs, personal service dogs, even personal dogs. I heard this guy on Jocko Willink's podcast, and it was incredible. And actually, we recorded an interview last week. He will be this Thursday. My interview with Mike Ritland will be on the Spaniard 101 podcast. Super exciting, super cool guy. This book, Team Dog, even though it's about how to train your dog, there's so many leadership principles. There's so many interpersonal communication and relationships principles in this book that will help you. Look, if you just remotely like dogs, if you don't even have a dog, you should get this book because it's going to teach you about leadership. And the first bullet point is this that I want to talk about. You cannot outsource your relationship with your dog. You cannot outsource your relationship with your dog. And then I put a parenthesis there and I said, insert any relationship here. Look, you want to develop a relationship. You want people to follow you. You want to build influence. That's what we're going to hop into with the next book is about developing influence. You can't outsource your relationships, right? And let's even take that further. Not that only can you not outsource your relationship, you can't fast track it. You can't fast track success. You can take, the tricks and the turns and the tactics and the this and the that. But at the end of the day, you got to work your butt off. And if you want to be one of the best, if you want to be the best, you've got to work your butt off harder than everyone else. That's the name of the game. You cannot outsource your relationship with your dog. If you run through reward, you got to put in your time. If you're a parent, you can't outsource your relationship with your parent. One of the things that he touched on in the interview, he said that he recently heard that, Alexa or whatever, one of those automatic, I don't even know what they're called, virtual home system, whatever. He heard an ad that said it can read bedtime stories to your kids. That's called outsourcing your relationship with your kids. We're just talking like in a simplified meaning, you can't outsource your relationship with your dog. You got to put in your time. I'm taking Mike's course online. So I bought his book. I bought his online dog training course. It's only $84 for the year. Bam. I just spent a lot more money for it. Bam. I paid for it. I bought the book. I paid for it. I read it. I'm studying it. Guess what month number 1 is? Spend more time with your dog. That's it. Spend more time with your dog. So Josie, my little Frenchie, we're spending a lot more time together. But that's the basis. Those people, right? Whether it's your team at work, whether it's your sports team, whether it's your classroom, whether it's your community, whether it's your family, spend more valuable time together. Next thing I want to talk about. I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills reading this. One of the things that Mike said early in our relationship. Well, it was early in our relationship because we just met when we were interviewing. But early in the interview, he said something in his book and then in the interview, he mentioned this idea of his fascination with human potential. So he says, I'm just fascinated with human potential. In the book, he talks about in dogs, what are their potential, right? What's a dog's potential? So we're talking about people, human potential. He said, I'm fascinated, like, what can a dog do? What is a dog's potential, right? So that's when he got really into dogs. And so he talks a lot about this, but then he also goes into talking the actual dog training. And one of the most profound concepts from this book that I took is the importance of your posture and your energy. Essentially, your posture, your body language. Think of how we communicate as human beings. I did an activity. I'm doing a workshop at Penn State Harrisburg, and I did an activity that it just kind of came to me in the right moment, but it totally drove home that, this law of attraction, what you send out, you receive. That's a lot of the time, that's the way with your body language. And he talks about this, especially with relationships to your dog. And one of the things he says is this: when training your dog, you need to exude confidence and forward pressure. Exude confidence and forward pressure. I'm not kidding. When I read that, I perked up and I thought, yeah, let's take that beyond dogs. What if I would say to you, hey, if I'm trying to pep you up, if you're a wrestler on my team or you're a fighter and I'm training you, I would say exude confidence and forward pressure, man. That's what you got to do. Exude confidence and forward pressure. What does that mean? You know what that means. You got to exude confidence. Think back to success principles. Number 2 or 3, you got to believe in yourself 100%. Exude confidence and forward pressure. We're moving forward. If we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. One of my favorite things I took from Boom Boom Mancini's book is his dad, Big Boom. He never took a step back. That was like his thing. And I have chills right now talking about, we're talking about human potential, canine potential, etc. He never took a step back. Exude confidence and forward pressure. Now, what if you're sitting there thinking, well, how do I exude confidence and forward pressure? I'm not confident. I don't want to move forward. I'm afraid to. It starts before that. Right now, this mark in time, this stake in time, it's 3:30 on Sunday afternoon, Eastern Sunday. Boom, you put that stake in the ground. We're going to start working today. If you're having that problem, exuding confidence, forward pressure, no mas, right? You're going to put that stake in the ground today, April 1st, 2018, Easter Sunday, and you're going to start preparing so that you can move forward, so that you can exude confidence and forward pressure in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months from now. Then, after working so hard leading up to that point, that is when you can exude confidence and forward pressure. You've got to live it well before you can actually believe it. The way you'll believe it is through that preparation. Remember, preparation is king. The next bullet point of the week comes from my Spanish episode. So, I've been asked a lot of times from various people, how do you say this or what do you say that in Spanish? And I'm teaching my kids Spanish. And I thought, you know what, maybe some people would value from a Spanish lesson a week. So I started teaching every Tuesday. I release a new Speak Spanish with Spaniard. And this week was Speak Spanish with Spaniard 6. And the point of it is this: estoy enseñando español a mis niños, right? I'm teaching Spanish to my kids right now. And they're learning it. And it's so neat to see and it's so neat to hear. Like my son Rocky, 1.5, if I ask him, ¿Dónde están los zapatos? Where are your zapatos? Boom, he knows where his shoes are, or he knows agua. So it's neat. As much as I'm fascinated with books and wisdom and wrestling and fighting and training, I'm fascinated with learning a foreign language. Learning, for me, it's Spanish. The Spanish culture, Hispanic culture, the Spanish language. To me, it's fascinating stuff. So even if you don't want to be fluent and you just want to learn about the Spanish language, and you want to learn about learning another language, these Tuesday episodes are, I'm going to say they're awesome. They're awesome because you're going to learn Español. You're going to learn palabras, frases. You're going to learn words. You're going to learn phrases. You're going to learn verbs. For the serious person who wants to learn Spanish, there is going to be some serious Spanish for you to learn. For everyone else, again, it's this fascination with these different cultures in this world and this different language. And in Speak Spanish with Spaniard 6 that came out on Tuesday, I talk about the idea that learning another language is actually physically tiring. And I go in to explain the background of that and my experience learning that, hey, this is really tiring. It was my first time in Spain. And I remember one afternoon, and you'll hear this again in depth in Speak Spanish with Spaniard 6. And make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. All these episodes I'm talking about, go to iTunes, click subscribe. They'll all be sent to your phone. But I remember sitting there one day, I think I was watching The Simpsons in Spanish. And I went from like, this is hilarious to, holy cow, I'm so tired. I'm like, I want to go to sleep. I'm so tired. And it's because of the mental stuff that's going on in your brain. So that's one of the highlights I talk about. I also talk about the fact there's actually 4 spoken languages in Spain, right? Most of us would think, no, it's just Spanish. Duh, right? It's Spain. No, there's actually 4 different languages spoken in Spain. So you're going to get tidbits from my travels and learning the Spanish language. You're going to get cultural tidbits, but you're also going to get some grammar, some sentences. You're actually going to learn how to speak Spanish. Moving on to the 4th bullet point. Now, I got to meet with a guy named Bill, who was a CEO of a very large company where I live. And a super, super nice guy, super, super intelligent. He recently retired, and it was a connection. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But, you know, he was teaching me a lot of stuff, just talking, just in conversation. I was learning things from the guy. And he mentioned a book. He mentioned a couple books, but one of the books he mentioned was The Servant by a guy named James Hunter. So I thought, okay, really smart, intelligent, successful guy talking to me right now, recommended reading this book. I'm going to get this book and read it. So I bought the book, sent it to my house. I'm in the over halfway through reading it, covering it on AM Excellence. But the book is called The Servant by James Hunter. And one of the first things that first and foremost, James Hunter says this. The author says this, look, these are not my ideas. This servant leadership has been around thousands of years. I'm merely repeating for you so you can learn too. And one of the things that he says is leadership is influence. Now, if you study leadership, he cited John Maxwell, but there's another couple people that he cites as well. This idea of that leadership is influence. So in whatever capacity, I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're a teacher. I don't care if you're a business owner. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're Vince Lombardi. Right? Leadership is influence. You are influencing those. I'm trying to influence my kids in a positive way. Every day of my life. Everyone you come across, you're influencing in one way or another. So assume that, take that on, exude that confidence and forward pressure, and understand that you have the ability to influence people around you. You don't have to be on a big mission. You don't have to have this giant, movement that you're trying to start. Let's just influence people in a positive way. Let's make them smile. Let's make them feel good. A lot of AM Excellence is that. A lot of AM Excellence, my daily show, 8 minutes, is for that simple reason. I want to help you feel good. Period. That's like the cause, I remember when I was a kid and I used to go to walk down the street or whatever, and I would see the signs in the windows that would say help wanted. And I thought that meant, oh, they're going under. They can't afford to keep their business open and they need some help. I wish I could help them. That's like one of the most early memories I have of wanting to help people. And that's in part what AMX is. It's a duo. It's helping me perform to the next level, and it's also helping you perform to the next level. So in a sense, whether you think you're a leader or not, you have the ability to help people. You have the ability to influence people in a positive way, to leave a trail, right? To leave a smoke screen of goodness behind you, or cause change, provide a way for people to change. You have that ability. So understand that leadership is influence. And one of the things that he talks about in the book, and he breaks it down really, get this book. If you like books, if you're into leadership, it's a fable, meaning it's facts intermixed within a story. There's characters. It's a really neat read. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is another book that's structured very much like this, that also is super rich, super valuable, super fun to read as well. But understand that you have the ability to influence people. How good at you are. How good at it are you? How can you be better? Again, this book, I'll get into it next week at the next What I Learned This Week. But he does such a great job of conveying this idea that leadership is influence, and then tells us how we can influence more effectively. It's a plan. And since every one of us is a leader in one way or another, there's no reason not to read it. I think I bought it on Amazon for $12, maybe less than $12. Get it, people. Moving on, I'll tell you what, in the book, as well as various working with people, talking with people, consulting with, peers of mine, guys who in business are well beyond where I'm at. I had the opportunity to become friends with Dave Burke. Dave Burke is a Top Gun pilot, and he works with Jocko Willink. And so I've been able to pick his brain about business, et cetera, and changing people. They work with businesses, like big time businesses, create change. And on an individual level, I've created dramatic change in a handful of people's lives, creating change with AM Excellence. So there's this idea of change, right? And change is really hard. It's not easy at all. It's hard and it's gradual. It's not something that just happens. That's why motivation can get a bad rap, because motivation is, yeah. And then it's 4:30 in the morning. You're like, for the birds. I'm going back to bed. I don't want any of this. Boom. Right? That's not what we want. We want that change. So another reason that I like reading so much is we have all these thoughts in our minds, all these experiences in our minds, just life. Life is going by, and we just kind of get caught in a routine or a rhythm. And very rarely do we step outside of that routine and rhythm unless someone brings it to our attention, unless something happens, unless, that's why a lot of people change after a terrible incident, right? You have a heart attack and that's boom. Oh, I better change something. That can spark your change. So I love reading because it makes sense of things that go on in my head. Like it brings light, or it brings sense to some of the things that I think. I gave a perfect example in one of my AMXs this week, where I read in the book The Servant, where it talks about it was talking about business and putting the customer first at the top of the pyramid, etc. And earlier that day I was at Sheetz, and I walked out the door and I took note of a sign on the door that said, "Our mission, total customer focus." And I thought, oh, I get it now. Because in the book, in The Servant, it talks about not total customer focus, but it talks about putting the customer up front, et cetera, et cetera. And then I got some, I was at home, my brother works with Sheetz, and I saw something that, again, said, "Our mission, total customer focus." So it brings stuff to light, and it helps make sense of the world, really. So that's one of the underlying reasons I love reading so much. But one of the things that was in this book, The Servant, that I've noticed in myself, being married, getting married, living with someone, having kids, it forces you to mix your way of life with someone else's way of life to hopefully create a harmonious environment. And that requires change on both ends. Sometimes absolute change from one thing to the other. Sometimes you meet in the middle, whatever. So I thought it was really neat. I read in the book, The Servant, that said there are 4 stages of developing habits / character / leadership. So in your life, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm committed, if you're a daily AMXer and you're actually changing in your life, boom, more power to you to keep it rolling. If you're teetering back and forth thinking, I really want to change, maybe I want to get healthy, maybe I want to read more, maybe I want to, improve my relationship with my spouse, maybe I want to become a better teacher, a better coach, whatever, that's change, right? So in the book, he says that there's 4 stages of change, right? There's 4 stages of change. And this made sense to me, and it made me feel better about the changes that I was undergoing in my life, to understand it is a gradual process. Don't expect yourself to change overnight. Don't expect it. It ain't going to happen, right? You could stop on a dime, but the vast majority of the time, it is systematic. It goes through a process. The first part is unconscious, unskilled, meaning cruising along. You don't even know what you don't know, pretty much. You don't know what you don't know. You're unconscious to it and you're unskilled in it. Boom. The next part is conscious and unskilled, meaning you're aware of something, but you don't yet do it, or you do it poorly. The next part is conscious and skilled. You know about it, right? Like you used to leave your laundry on the floor all the time, but now you don't. But you realize, I better not do this because I used to do it and it was wrong, so I'll do it now. Boom. That's conscious and skilled. And eventually you just do it. You don't even think about it. Unconscious and skilled. And then I found another one that really simplified it. And again, this is from AMX 449. This is, I'm going to use this when I do most of my events. Step 1 is awareness. Step 2 is contemplation. Am I really going to change or am I not going to change? Once you decide you do or will, step 3 is conscious change. Again, honey, I did the dishes. Yeah, well, you don't need to call me and tell me you did the dishes. You just do the dishes. I know, but I'm on the 3rd step. I'm on conscious change. And then step number 4 is you do the dishes and you don't even call your wife to tell her you did the dishes because it's now unconscious change. You're boom, the habit is there. So it was really neat talking about those 4 levels of changing behaviors and habits or developing character and developing leadership, because in the book, we're learning leadership is a skill. It can be developed. The next one, the 6th bullet point on this week's what I learned this week. So I had the opportunity to meet a guy by the name of Gabriel the Gun Gonzalez, and he was one of the founding members of No Doubt, the band No Doubt that we used to rock out to, and we sometimes still do rock out to, B-A-N-A-N-E-S. Yeah, that No Doubt. Sorry I'm not home right now. Walking in a spider web, leave a message and I'll call you back. Woo! Yeah, that one. Anyway, so Gabriel was one of the founding members of this band. And in our interview, we're talking about his life, his experience since the band, playing with so many other famous, successful musicians, speaking to kids, the scary moments that he's experienced in his life. And at one point, we were talking about saying no to certain things. Saying no to certain things, reserving time and energy and space for you. And he said something that really struck a chord, and I thought it was really smart and intelligent. He said, there's no need to explain your no. People don't got to like it, and you don't got to care. It's a struggle sometimes, dealing with people that you truly care about. You don't want to hurt their feelings, but we have to think about ourselves. Gabriel the Gun Gonzalez. Take that to heart. Don't be as I love the quote, Scott Adams, creator of Dilbert, former guest of the show, author, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, an amazing book you should read. He prefaced one of the things that he said was, we're operating under the assumption that we're not a selfish turd. Okay, so don't be a selfish turd. Maintain your values, but then stay true to your core. It's hard, it's difficult, we all go through it, but at the end of the day, you got to be happy. You got to be happy. Your inner circles got to be happy. Your concentric circles, working out, you got to be happy. And sometimes you just can't explain it. And I'm going to go with the Gary Vee, you got to go with your gut. Whatever your gut says, again, if you're value-oriented, not being a turd, there's no need to explain your no. Moving on, the next thing, the last bullet point of the week, servant leadership is about identifying and meeting the needs, not wants, the legitimate needs of those whom you lead. So this deal with servant leadership, it's good. This book is good. I've heard this book referenced twice in companies, successful companies, being used as text for their new employees or their students. It's worth it. James Hunter is the author. The Servant is what the book's called. It's based on servant leadership. And at its core, servant leadership is about identifying and meeting the legitimate needs of those whom you lead. Such a good book, such a good read. It's making me a better person. On tomorrow's AM Excellence, I'm going to talk about the 8 tenets of servant leadership. Simple, not easy. Simple, not easy, and profound. This has been this week's What I Learned This Week. Please hop on over to charliespaniard.com. Opt into my email list. You're going to get this leadership document every single Friday. Also, if you're interested in setting up an event, look, I'm a learning machine. I am the world's, actually I was voted by me, the world's toughest lifelong learner. And I want to develop you and I want to develop your team into tough lifelong learners. How do I do that? I come to your school, I come to your business, I come to your team, or I talk to your coach and say, hey, what are you dealing with? Well, we're dealing with belief, we're dealing with communication, we don't have a really solid leadership team or leadership, we're dealing with a culture, we're just stuck in mediocrity. We have people who don't even know why they're doing what they're doing, they're just going through the routine. And then this is what I do. I resort to all the books I read, all of these documents, and I bring the best wisdom to you, and I show you through the wisdom and then through practical application of behaviors that will change those resistance points, improve those resistance points in your team, in your business, in whatever it is. I want to develop tough lifelong learners, and my long-lasting effect is to pass on this infatuation. I'm going to call it an infatuation with reading. Because reading every day, taking copious notes every day, has enabled me to maintain this mindset that I used to get from being around world-class fighters on a daily basis. Guess what? I live with my family in a small community. I don't have access to those people. You might not have access to those people, but I'll tell you what you do have access to. You have access to books. You have access to my show, AM Excellence, Monday through Friday. Boom, 8 minutes, you're getting wisdom delivered to you at your doorstep, at your earlobes, at your eardrums. Take advantage of it. charliespaniard.com/booking to bring me in to speak, to conduct the next workshop for your team. Be bold, my friends. Yes, yes. Marissa, if you're still watching, thank you very much. There comes a time every so often where Spanny says to himself and his wife says to him, get a haircut. And it was time. So we got a haircut. What is this? What I learned 54. So yeah, thank you very much, Marissa, for that compliment. I appreciate it. I'll let it grow back in time, I'm sure. Happy Easter to everybody. This is the best piece of candy there is. A pink thing, otherwise known as a wintergreen lozenge. Try not to break my teeth here. Tomorrow morning, 6:30, right here, facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. AM Excellence. Where are we at tomorrow? 4:56 maybe? Fire, wisdom, energy, camaraderie, accountability. Accountability. They burn. They burn when they get caught right there. Friendships. We're developing friends on AMX's live streams. It's awesome. Not kidding. It's stinking awesome. You should be there. 6:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on this page. And this Saturday, 4 p.m., Barnes & Noble, Altoona, Pennsylvania. Make a point of being there. I will be doing this coming week's version of this on Saturday at Barnes & Noble, Altoona. It's not going to be the episode I just did because every week I'm learning more stuff. And every week there's more stuff to talk about and discuss and conversate about. So you should be there. Barnes & Noble, Altoona, Saturday, April 7th, 4 p.m. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel good to host an event and have nobody come. So if you just want to make Old Spanny feel better, that would be awesome too. Even if you're an hour or 2 hours away, here's what you should do. Show up, hang out, go get some great food. I'll tell you some great places to eat in the area. We have small town deli pizza shops. We have delicious Italian restaurants. We have great Mexican restaurants. We have brand new movie theater. You can either come and do all that before the show or after the show. I'll be recording a live episode. We'll be hosting some discussion. We'll be talking podcasting, writing a book. We'll be talking books in general. It's in a stinking bookstore. Come ready to buy a book, and I'll tell you which book. I'll tell you a list of 100 books that are awesome books. You can go home with a book. I can't buy it for you, but you can go home with a book. Anyway, be bold, my friends. Hasta mañana. Happy Easter, everybody.